highest sign, Steve. At this time, we're returning from executive session. Please stand to pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like, board members, you've received a copy of the minutes from the last meeting. I'd like a motion to approve the minutes.
Make the motion, sir.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Okay, Mr. Hancock.
Mr. Isgro?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
I don't believe we have anyone from City Council. So, Mr. Holbrook.
Yes, President Sprague, we do have a recommendation on the board agenda for the board to consider for approval this evening. This is for a 3-year contract with Local 468, beginning August 1st and extending through July 31st of 2025. And so that is in front of you for consideration this evening.
Okay. I would like a motion to recommend to approve the contract.
So moved.
Second,
A second.
Mr. Hancock. Oh,
Ms.
any discussion? No, okay. Mr. Hancock, I'm sorry.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Isgro?
Yes.
The next item for consideration for the board is we are recommending calendars for the 22-23 and 23-24 school years. This is the second time that we've put school calendars through, with now Juneteenth being a national holiday. We had to make some amendments to the calendars, and so those calendars for both preschool as well as K-12 are in front of you for consideration this evening.
I'd like a motion to accept these new calendars.
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Pastor Shack, second.
Second.
Second. Mr. Hancock.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Isgro?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
The next item for consideration is something with board policy. We have to identify an anti-harassment officer, and in the past we have used someone in our curriculum department. Since Jesse Weisbrod, our executive director of HR, has come on board, we have changed the language in recommending that she be included in that for the future.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the board, change of board policy.
I'll make that motion, sir.
Second.
Second. Mr. Hancock.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Isgro?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
The next item on the agenda, I am honored to be able to present tonight our folks from Highland Elementary with our elementary update. And so I'm going to turn this over right now to Ryan Britton and Brandy Hubbard Hazelwood.
Good evening.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having us tonight. Just getting everything ready to present. I want to thank everyone here tonight, all our board members, Mr. Wright and Mr. Holbrook, for having us tonight to share some incredible things that we've seen over the last year at Highland. I want to personally thank you for this opportunity and principalship at Highland. We are soaring to new heights and can't wait to share that with you here in a moment.
And I am Brandy Hazelwood. I am the assistant principal. It's my first time getting to be at the board meeting face to face with you. When I was hired, it was the fresh COVID year, so I'm excited to get to be here with you guys tonight.
Absolutely. This year at Highland, we focused on 3 big pillars. We wanted to look at our school culture and community, our academic growth, and PBIS, and focusing in on the power of relationships. Our school culture, we had that transition time in April and May, and I thank you for that time because I got to really get to know the staff, get to know the culture, and hit the ground running as soon as the 21-22 school year started. We refocused on our why and the purpose of what we do, and we opened our doors back up to the community, brought members into our school, and took our school out into the community at different events throughout the year where we were able to connect and rebuild those trusted relationships we've had for years. For our academic growth, we had our Summer Leadership Institute where we looked at where we were and where we wanted to grow. We set these 3 goals together with our amazing coaches and brought that to our BLT and really honed in and kept coming back to our focus, incorporating monthly MTSS meetings as well so we could look at both social and academic growth and deficits so we can help support throughout the year. And with PBIS and the power of relationships, we welcomed our new team member, Amanda White, as our student and family support specialist with her wealth of experience she brought to the team. We were also part of the Ohio School Wellness Initiative this year. Both us and the freshman campus worked with other schools across the state, looking at PBIS and how we can better align as a state towards initiatives with positive behavior intervention. We realigned our PBIS in Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3, and rejuvenated our initiatives with personalized experiences and working on mentorship and building trusted relationships with adults around the building. And I apologize for the amount of photos, but it was too many wonderful things to share with you that these were just a smattering of all the amazing things that we, our staff, community, and students have done this year. A few of those things, we had a record turnout at Open House and a very active parent-teacher council throughout the year who have integrated into many events both out and inside of our school. We had National Walk to School Day. Thank you, Mr. Holbrook and our Mayor Moeller for being there on that day. We had Booktoberfest, which was our fall literacy event. We had 700 community members from Highland, as well as our Holidays Around the World night, which was new this year. And we had over 600 family members and students come into the building at that time. Acceptance Week was a wonderful event as well, where we looked at all our differences and celebrated those. And Grandparents' Day, or Very Important Person Day, our VIPs, we had 1,000 people over 2 days come into our building, and we haven't had that event in over 3 years, so it was wonderful to see that. We also brought experiences in for our students. Boonshoff STEAM Day, we had author Jen Bishop and Will Hildebrandt come to read and work and workshop with our kids, which was amazing. And Basketball Jones came in for a character assembly. And this really couldn't be possible without our incredible dedicated teachers, staff, students, and parents. And I want to thank each of them as well.
So as with everything that we do at Hamilton City Schools, at Highland, we use data to drive what we do and the decisions we make for our students. And so that brings us to our academic portion that we'd like to discuss today. Prior to the students starting in August, we sat down with all shareholders and decided on building goals, one of them being specific to MAP, and aligning that with the district goals. Our goal for the 21-22 school year is to grow at least 75% of our students to meet or exceed their 1-year growth goal in either reading or math. We started the school year with that intentionality in regards to our ELA and math framework, with every grade level really sitting down and making sure all those portions and pieces were incorporated into the schedule and monitoring that throughout the school year with intentional use with that fidelity in order to best support our students. We are blessed with a wonderful instructional team at Highland. To my right, our coaches met with all teams and helped plan professional development to align with our building needs for both new teaching staff to Highland, but also deepening that understanding with our veteran staff at Highland. Looking at our mid-year checkpoint, we did have many celebrations, and as a building, we also had opportunities to take a step and tweak what we've been doing and create action plans in order to grow our students who did not meet that mid-year benchmark for their growth in reading and math. As you can see here, our reading data, you can see the growth demonstrated from the mid-year as compared to last year at the same time. All but one grade level grew in growth, with first, third, and fifth doubling their growth and compared with last year's data. As a building, roughly 51% of Highland students met or exceeded their mid-year growth goal with reading. Transitioning to our math data, you can see we had huge celebrations. Every grade level at Highland grew in math this year as compared to last year, with 1st and 6th grade more than doubling their math growth, which we were very excited about. As a building, roughly 66% of our Highland students met or exceeded their mid-year growth goal. So again, with that goal being 75, we've had to put some supports in place to help those students reach that goal at the end of the school year. And while we are proud of the direction and progress our teachers have taken in growing our students, we have implemented crucial steps to address those needs. One of those steps being we had mid-year data chats with every teacher or teacher team to look at our data and identify those students who need extra supports and create individualized action plans for those students, because what we did at the beginning of the school year, we had to tweak it to make it work for them, to push them towards their growth goal. We also set aside time to allow for vertical conversations between grade level teams to really dive into talk about power standards, best practices, challenges, and successes, what's working for this grade level that we can tweak for a grade level below or a grade level above, and really opened up those conversations with our staff, which was very exciting to see, and they really enjoyed those opportunities. We are so proud of our Highland staff who have poured their heart and soul into teaching our kiddos this year and growing our Highland heroes. And we cannot wait to see in just a couple weeks how our students are going to hit and succeed their growth goal this spring. And shifting to our PBIS, excuse the pun, but Highland prides itself on living by our 5 pillars of expectations: personal responsibility, respect, integrity, determination, and empathy. If you start the day with us at Highland, you will be reciting the Highland Pledge. We do it every morning as a school-wide building, and we use this common language throughout the school year, throughout the school day, in and out of the classroom. For the 2020-2021 school year, so last school year, Highland, as a PBIS team, we earned the Silver Award from the Ohio PBIS Network and Ohio State Support Team. The year prior to that, we had earned bronze, and this year, we've got our eyes set on hopefully reaching that gold status. We've really ramped up some of our awesome PBIS initiatives that we've already had in place. So we're very excited to see that this spring. We're going through that process now. This year, we have also stepped up our monthly Highland Heroes program to include a monthly party with the principals, where students get to have a fun, memorable experience with Mr. Britton and myself as an additional bonus to the certificate and pictures and recognition they typically receive in the school day. We've also integrated building-wide positive compliment tickets, where teachers throughout the school day, whether it's arrival, during lunch, recess, when they pass students in the hallway and library, and at dismissal time, truly showing their pride. And if they're not in their class, they have these blue tickets. They can give it to that student to identify and celebrate them in that moment. Then that ticket goes to their teacher. They rip in half. So a student gets a portion, and then a portion goes to their classroom teacher, and we document that data for data purposes to see, hey, is this working for us? Is the fidelity with it and how that impact it's having in the building. And then those tickets get turned into the office, and every week we pull 5 to 7 tickets and really celebrate those students for showing their pride at Highland.
Thanks. Well, it's all about building strong relationships, right? And that was a huge turn that we wanted to bring with our PBIS team. We use Dojo at our school to communicate all things SEL and academic with our families. We have almost 100% fidelity, and I know a lot of our buildings in elementary here in Hamilton do that. And we track that. We track our positive moments in students' days. Students are showing and living that pride, like Miss Hazelwood was talking about. So the students earn those positive points through respect, through integrity, determination, and then they get to shop once a month with Mrs. White, our student and family support specialist. So in the fall, our PBIS team came together and said, what can we do to really intrinsically motivate our students? What can we do to make this something even bigger than it already is? And we created experiences with staff around the building, both to build those positive relationships, but also to motivate our students to really work hard and live through that pride. So students can earn dance parties in the front office with Mrs. Ball and Miss Thompson, and they absolutely have a blast on up there. You can read a book with Miss Hazelwood. Mr. Head, our head custodian, will take you on a backstage tour of Highland, and you can help him, something I don't get to do. So I got to work on my dojo points, I suppose. You can come help feed my fish. You can help be a guest on announcements, or you can save up your points and get a McDonald's lunch with us and your friends in the office. I am so proud of the work our students have done, and I'm humbled by the work our staff does to continually modify, look, and change where the data says we need to go to help support and reach all of our students. So looking ahead, we are so excited for the things on horizon. We've only touched the peak where we'd like to go. This summer, we're having our first BLT retreat at Houston Woods. It's a chance for our new BLT to come together, our building leadership team, and really look at where we were and where we want to go over the next year and 3-year plan. We also want to continue to look at our growth mindset, continue to shift our vision from my kids and your kids to these are all our kids, and we're going to grow them together. And what can I do to help you, and what can you do to help me? And of course, community is always going to be a focus of Highland. We want to continue to have events both in and out and continue to grow and support our community. They are the foundation of Highland, and all 4 distinct neighborhoods come together and help us be the incredible place we are. So again, I want to thank our board members, Mr. Holbrook, Mr. Wright, and everybody here today for the incredible work that we have achieved this year at Highland. We are very excited. Ms. Hazelwood and I just are smitten by all the wonderful things that have happened this year and can't wait to hit the ground running next year. So thank you.
Thank you. Wow.
I must say, go ahead, sir.
I don't think they're very enthusiastic.
I was gonna say,
So what
you
happened?
guys, all that enthusiasm, you wore me out already.
I apologize.
I gotta take a
2
nap.
kindergarten teachers, we come by honestly.
I wish they was in that executive session. That would
Wow.
help. Can you do the financial report next? Hey,
Thank
No.
you. The energy that you and Miss Hazelwood, and if it's trickling down to your teams, whew, man, fantastic. I really appreciate it, and I like the growth that's been going, that you're showing, and yeah, it's really neat. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
that's the first time I'm familiar with Dojo and all and things. I love the experiences. That's a new one. I've never heard that one before. I could see kids eating that up, especially going backstage, back in the janitor's closets and all that stuff. I just think that's a wonderful experience for kids, to develop a relationship with an adult in a totally different level, and that's really cool. I also like that Booktober night. I like that one.
You're
So,
welcome to come. Any of you are welcome to come next year.
I
We'll make
appreciate
sure
it.
you know.
But thank you for bringing that enthusiasm. Thank you for doing those things for these kids, and it's certainly showing, especially first year, right?
First year, yes.
So looking forward to seeing what comes next.
Well, thank you,
Very
sir.
cool. Very cool.
Keep up the good work. You're doing great over there.
Thank you.
And yeah, I agree with them. The enthusiasm is just bubbling in here right now. Thank you for your hard work.
Well, thank you.
Well, it definitely shows by the turnout of the parents coming out, over 1,000 you said?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Grandparents'
sheesh.
Day.
So, I mean, that's really huge. And I know for me, I love all the schools in our district, so I'm a little biased, of course. We love all the schools in our district. But, I know when we had the huge overhaul of changing principals and everything, I was just nervous about the Highland piece. I was like, okay, who's gonna, Mrs. Smallwood, left such an impression there. So I was like, okay, who's gonna come and fill this? So when I found out it was you, I was like, oh, shoot, we're good. I was like, we're good. I know we would pick somebody amazing, but I was like, oh, yeah, we're good. We're good. So I was just so glad that you were at the helm of that. And then, then your partner in crime, well, not good crime, but, in goodness. So working with
We
you,
get in good
just
trouble.
do
All good things.
all good things. So, just equally matching just your energy and your ability to do, and that what you do at Highland is contagious. So it shows with the parents and families being involved and being a part. So that just shows. And so I'm super excited. And again, shout out to you guys at Highland being here and supporting as well. It's super cool and says a lot as well because, so it's a pretty nice day. Sun's peeking out, but you guys are here supporting your team. So shout out to you guys for that. So definitely appreciate your leadership over at Highland for sure. And I'm coming for that feed the fish and the McDonald's piece.
Yep.
I'm kind of here for
We will
that.
have very, very round fish by the end of this week. That's little kid's favorite thing to do is, it's my turn to come feed the fish. Come on down. Let's go
Just
feed
saying,
the fish.
coming for this fish and McDonald's piece.
There we go.
Well, Ryan and Brandy, Ryan, this is the end of your first year at Highland. Brandy, this is the end of your second year there. And we couldn't be more pleased with the direction that you're taking with that building. I think what you've done is you've shown us data, and data is important, and it does drive our decisions, but data can be sterile if it isn't used appropriately. And I think you've certainly shown where you can invoke that fun and still use data and still be strategic in what you're doing. You know, I know Mr. Wright's going to be joining you at your next dance party.
Yeah,
And so I think
absolutely.
that'll be other duties as assigned, and so I look forward to seeing that.
We have Steve.
TV Hamilton needs to come.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mike Rice from Western News, okay.
But I, you know, Ryan, when
People running out the door.
I still remember sitting down and speaking with you about the Highland principalship, and I think you were excited, and then part of me looked in your eyes and you were going, oh my God, what am I committing to here? But I hope this first year has been something where you've grown personally, but you've also been able to impact an entire community of kids, and so both of you should feel extremely proud of doing that under probably not the easiest of circumstances. This year's been challenging.
Absolutely.
And your leadership, Brandy, your leadership has helped Highland thrive despite those challenges. And so I personally thank both of you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think we have anyone for public participation, so Mr. Holbrook.
Yes, I just have a couple announcements. First of all, over the next 5 to 6 weeks, we've got a myriad of activities in our buildings, all the way from you know, recognition ceremonies to various events. And one of the things that I want to encourage all of our parents to do is check with your buildings, check with your administrators to make sure that you know when those events take place. We have too many events to mention every single one of them. A couple key ones, though, that I want to make sure that is on everyone's radar, and I continue to say these over and over, is that high school graduation will be held on May 24th. At the high school football stadium. That was very successful last year, and we're going to do a repeat this year with a rain date of being May 25th. And finally, the last day of school, believe it or not, is upon us. We won't have another live board meeting until the last day of school, which is on May 26th this year. So, you know, it's unbelievable to me that we are already speaking about the last day of school coming up in the next month or whatever. But, you know, visit our district calendar, look at those events. There's a lot of really neat things going on in this district. And I encourage parents to reach out to our buildings if they're unsure about times, dates, and locations of those events.
Okay. Thank you. Board members, you've received the items for the consent agenda. I'd like a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion on any of the items? Okay. Mr. Hancock?
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
Mr. Isgro?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes. And it's back to you, Mr.
I think are they coming up to do the finance?
It's
Oh, I don't think.
Mr. President, I have a few items for you this evening. First of all, one, confirming purchase requisition for some materials. Several donations, letters of appreciation have been prepared for your signature, so we certainly would recommend the board accept those, and we thank each and every one of those. It looks to me about 8 of them. And then finally, the financial report for March 31st, 2022. And in our world, and I guess particularly my world, that's 3/4 of the way through this year. We anticipated $77,472,598. When you look at this, I'm looking at total revenue. We're actually at $81,436,310. Again, had that same kind of variance last year because the settlement came in a month later. The actual settlement, as you can see now, in our actual $17,475,407 is in. And you can see if you look at March 2020, it was in that year as well. Last year, it came in April. I've mentioned the fact that this settlement came in about $430,000 lower than anticipated for the year. And the real cause on this is delinquencies. Delinquencies collected this year as compared to the previous years was about that much lower. And so It just seems to be a timing issue. We've probably caught up on collections, and so as we do the May forecast, we're allowing for that, and we'll make the necessary adjustments to go through that pattern, and the long-term effects are nil. It's just the way things turned out. So that's good information to have. On the next line item, tangible personal property tax, it is running 223,493 better than planned. Again, this one actually is going to end up about 75,000 better than planned when we look at it compared to year end. And so we had some better receipts than anticipated. That 318,493 figure, you look back 4 or 5 years, it's not there anywhere. It's more in the 250 range. So we'll take that, and it's most likely one taxpayer paid early is our guess. So when we do the forecast update, in fact, we've already started that process. We've assumed that variance won't happen next year, so we've reduced it by that amount next year, brought it back to that 250, 260 range in the years going forward. State funding is pretty steady at this point. When you're running within 275,000 combined there between unrestricted and restricted on close to $60 million, that's fairly close. We'll look and see at those variances if there's anything that's going to stick. It's going to be some minor one-off categories above and beyond the what's known as the guarantee. So we'll look at those, and it could be preschool funding or something like that, just minorly different from the previous year. But when they go through that calculation, actually they're receiving the same number you received last year on that. And I think that's going to kind of continue for the next few years as we look at that. Property tax allocation has come in. We'll look at that next month. I don't anticipate any major differences. And we're running about $360,727 to the good right now on all other operating revenue, which is just a variety of the miscellaneous revenues. And that is not necessarily surprising. It's in line with the fact that your general property tax dollars are here this month, because part of the money you receive in your property tax settlement is in the area of TIFs and RIDs, residential improvement districts, that are down in the lower part of that tax settlement, and they're actually posted on this line item instead of up in taxes as required. So that really doesn't surprise me at this time. That will probably come closer to the March number of 2020 as we move through. We do have a significant Medicaid reimbursement out there that actually would get us up in the range of that March number. Should it come in before June 30th, and I'm hopeful, seeing I signed it a couple of weeks ago, that does happen. The expenditure side, we're watching fringe benefits. It's running a little heavy. I think it's just a matter of all the money we have moving between funds this year, and we'll look at that as we do this May forecast, see if that's going to hold. It could just be a distribution piece as we're looking at the allocation of funds. ESSER, a lot of movement between ESSER and general fund this year, so pleased that the salary and fringes are running within 81,000. And the other numbers that don't concern me, they're minor in comparison. Again, your capital outlay is going to end up being zero, and those will be PI expenditures by year's end. And the other objects, quite frankly, that number makes sense because you did the tax settlement. What's in the tax settlement? Auditor and treasurer fees. And so that would account for that. That would be the treasurer's report for March.
Okay. Do you have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Mr. Hancock?
Mr. Isgro?
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews?
Yes.
Mr. Sprague?
Yes.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes.
As there's no other items in front of us this evening, our next board meeting will be on May 12th, beginning at 4 o'clock, and we'll probably go straight into executive session.
We do have a presentation from Wilson Middle School.
Okay, so we'll start with the presentation.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.